In our myths, when has the game of dice ever ended well for our heroes? Yudhishthira lost his kingdom, his brothers, and his wife. Nala lost his kingdom but refused to wager his wife. Rukmi lost his life. If this is the crisis playing dice throws men into, what do you think could happen when the gods play and lose? The end of the world as we know it? Come with me to a story found in the Shiva Purana and the Skanda Purana, among other texts. My version is strongly influenced by South Indian folklore. A story, a sprinkling of magic. Namaskaram. Welcome to Stories and Magic with me, Mahita. A long time ago, in a time before history, Shiva and Parvathi as Ardhanareshwara were one. When the two of them separated at the behest of the mischievous Narada, who suggested that Shiva teach Parvathi to play dice, Parvathi separated from Shiva, manifesting as Prakriti, the power that creates, sustains and destroys, and Shiva remained Purusha, or pure consciousness. Parvati, at first a novice, lost her games, losing her jewelry to her lord, then her upper garment, then, at Shiva's request, undoing her hair from its elaborate braid so that it fell in a cascade about her naked breasts. Parvati was a quick learner though, and she saw that the very demands Shankara made of her were her weapons of distraction against him. She wanted to win and to make the losing painful for Shiva, and she was not above a spot of friendly cheating to get what she wanted. As she won, she draped her jewelry back around her neck and wrists and arms. She slipped her earrings back in place, smiling as Shiva's eyes turned to the sparkle of gems bouncing off the dark curve of her slender neck and collarbones. The next game, she retied her black as night hair with her arms lifted high as she twisted it into coils on top of her head. Shiva watched her, knowing exactly what she was doing. Next, she took from him his earrings, Makara Kundala in his right ear, symbolizing maleness, and the Chandra Kundala in his left, symbolizing femaleness, his Damaru, Trishula, the snake around his neck, and even the crescent moon from his locks, and his Rudraksha. And as his hair tumbled down his shoulders, Parvati's breath caught. In winning, she was losing herself in her lord. She tossed the dice once more. Victory was hers. She reached for the only thing left on Shiva, the ragged tiger skin he wore around his waist. He grabbed her wrist. "This too, Devi?" The slight tug was her only reply, and he let her. But Shiva, usually uncaring of words or actions or possessions, except when he wanted to indulge his Devi, he rose in all his magnificence, but this time a little disturbed at the emotions churning in him. And he walked away, hoping to sit in meditation and regain some calm. Parvati was furious at him and at herself. She had won. But what use was it? For in winning, she had lost that which was most important to her. But she knew better than to pursue Shiva. He would return, as if nothing happened. And he would have. Except, in the forest, he happened to run into Vishnu, brother of his beloved wife, who was now owner of all his possessions. And Vishnu, magnificent in his silks and precious ornaments, as a consort of Mahalakshmi, the goddess of wealth, must be, had a hard time hiding his laughter when he saw Shiva's sorry state and heard the story of his wily sister winning at dice. "Let's go back," he said, "and invite her to play again. And this time, I will manifest in the dice so that it plays every number you need. Surely you cannot remain forever as you are now, covered just in ash." So the gods returned, and another game of dice was played, and another and another. Parvati, as you can imagine, was astonished at how at every game Shiva won. winning back every single one of his possessions. Nothing she did would persuade the dice to fall to her will. And finally, in a fit of temper, she stopped the game and demanded to know exactly what was going on. Mahavishnu revealed himself and explained that Shiva hadn't really won. Parvati hadn't really lost, because it was his Maya, the magic of illusion, that had caused the games to go the way they did. And having had his entertainment for the moment, he left for Vaikuntha. Did he know what would happen in Kailasha once he left? I don't know, but it was not good. Shiva, a little insensitive perhaps, insisted on holding on to Vishnu's argument, saying everything, nature, all matter, even food was illusion. And this struck hard at the very essence of Parvati, who was nature and matter and energy manifested. All right then, she said, rising, if I'm nothing, and you have just negated everything I stand for, manage without me. And she left. The world was plunged into chaos. Time stood still, the seasons stopped, the winds didn't blow and the rains didn't fall. The earth split into spider webs of cracks, some as delicate as Apsara's hair, others big enough for whole herds of elephants to fall into. Rocks crumbled into dust that slowly choked the life out of man. Parvati could not take the suffering. These were her children dying. She descended to Kashi, set up a kitchen, and there all the hungry of Bhuloka were fed. One day, as she dipped her ladle into a cauldron of the most nourishing wines and lifted it to pour into the next bowl held out to her, her gaze fell on cupped hands. She looked up into the eyes of that life form without whom she was incomplete. Her heart quickened, but she showed no signs of it. Her ladle remained suspended above his palms. Devi, he said, I have been constructed out of half your body. Therefore, there is no difference between us, and my heart is in you. Just as myself, my heart, and my life has been placed in you, so has yourself, your heart, and your life been placed in me. Just as food is needed to nourish the body that holds the Atma, so is Prakriti needed to give Purusha form. It is through your grace that I, Nirguna, become Saguna. My being is your expression, and you dwell in my limbs as Shivangi, she who is the power of creation, destruction, and sustenance. The world will not be complete without our conjoined energies, and I can never be complete without you. Would you be able to resist an apology like this? Parvati couldn't. As Shiva surrendered to Shakti, Shakti yielded to him, and they returned to Kailash. From that day, Parvati was worshipped as Annapoorani, the goddess of food and sustenance. And if they played dice in Kailash, this time, it was without the arguments that could bring the world to its knees.